Yeah, the nice thing with that is you just basically have to create the fireproofed separation walls between the units.
Yeah. All right, so we do have some rough terms of how it would look. It just depends, right? Because with those project lenders, nothing wrong with it. Your interest rate tends to be a little cheaper, 8%, 9%, 7% in some cases.
Welcome back to the REI Hot Seat. Andrew Hines here with Jacob Campanaro, and today we're talking about 14-unit building for $57,000 a door.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Anyways, just before we get into it, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, show some love to the channel, and let's dive right in.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jake, thanks for doing this as always. Tell me about today's opportunity, and this is like off market.
Yep.
Super hush hush.
Super off market.
Yeah.
Well, now it's out, right, with this, but so this is an interesting play, as they always are. But I'm really excited about this one. So it's actually an old commercial building, okay, and it's located in like the St. Catharines Welland area, right, that pocket. Anyways, but it's an old commercial building. It's been completely gutted, so it's a shell condition right now, meaning it's basically 4 walls and a roof.
So it's a blank slate.
Yeah, blank slate. No power, no heat in there. So you're paying for what you get, right? Purchase price $800,000.
Yeah, that's the catch
as is
there.
where is.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so we have a bit of a deal summary here, like we can throw up on the screen here.
Yeah.
So 800 to buy, 14 units, 57.1 per, an assumed 25% down. Of course, that's probably going to be like a private lender or like a credit union.
Yeah. So
with a plan.
We worked a few different angles, and that's really the catch to this one, right? Is how are you funding it? Because there's also a ton of work to do here, right?
There are like lenders that'll lend on construction.
Correct. And I've spoken with a couple.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have some rough terms of how it would look. It just depends, right? Because with those project lenders, nothing wrong with it. Your interest rate tends to be a little cheaper, 8%, 9%, 7% in some cases. But you're restricted to using the builder that the bank wants, right? You got to use the reputable builder. It's almost like new construction financing, where it's you got to submit your reports, and then they'll pay a tranche.
Well, that's always the red tape with any sort of construction financing is you have to be liquid enough to pay for the stuff, and then you get to a milestone, get the appraiser or the inspector to come out for the lender, and then they say, yeah, all good, we'll release the next amount.
And I don't want to deter people from that. It's not impossible. It's just it's more red tape, like you said.
It's a little red tape. You got a plan, but I mean, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? Back in the day, I used to do this for single family homes. Not as interested in that anymore. Like natural progression is you start doing this with bigger deals. Now this is 14 units. So somebody who last did it with a duplex or a triplex, now this could be a step up.
Yeah.
And is it worth going through the extra red tape when you've got what might be a juicy deal and much bigger?
And that's it, right? So I ran 2 different scenarios, and the scenario you have there is kind of a more of the institutional construction lender,
like
renovation
working
lender.
So there'd be a lot of red tape with this. You could potentially get it for the 6.5, but you're gonna have a lot of red tape. Or you go with a private construction lender and you pay maybe 9-10% plus fees, and they're a little bit more flexible, a little less rigid.
And I ran it at 10% in this case here, right? So but basically, so just a little bit about the location. So area itself, not the best neighborhood right now. Okay, but very interesting because I actually spent the morning looking at different articles, and Empire Homes just purchased a number of different sites, but the site that's actually across from our building here it was 3,350 acres. So
they bought 3,000 acres.
Yeah, 10 something $1 million. It's a brownfield site. They're currently cleaning it up. And they're planning for a second phase to their current development, which is called Empire Canals.
Okay.
So
what's brownfield mean? Is that contaminated?
Yeah, old industrial site.
Okay.
Right. So it's an old industrial site. They're cleaning it up. The city's pumping some money into it. Empire's pumping money into it. So in the near future, and I'm not saying next year there's going to be brand new towns, but I would say within the next 5 to 10, you're looking at a completely regentified area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the play with this building would be just residential apartments?
Residential apartments.
Is it near amenities? Are there grocery stores nearby?
Yeah, it's a walking area. Like
you can get to stuff.
It's surrounded by residential. Right?
Okay.
This was the neighborhood pub per se. right?
Okay, so it's not the best spot ever, but still totally workable.
And I think
a long-term outlook.
Long-term outlook looks absolutely fantastic. Okay. So that just gets that out of the way. I wanted to explain kind of the location and where we're dealing with.
Okay. So I do have some questions here because I got this sheet from you.
Sure.
So you have an exit strategy here as being a refinance timeline in 1 year.
Yep.
You're thinking cap rate to value it at the end is 5.9. Is that? And based on that, your net income at exit is going to be 165. So you're figuring value at completion is 2.8 million.
Yeah, and so we actually had a bit of a higher valuation come in. We put it out to a couple different appraisers.
Okay.
And we had values come in closer to $3 million.
Okay.
But I want it to be
like as complete.
Right? So, but I just said, okay, let's round everything out. Let's call it 2.8, 200,000 a door, 6% cap rate.
Yeah.
Right. That's very reasonable. That's hard to argue and say, no, that's not a value on complete. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So there's some other useful information you put in here. I want to keep working through it.
Go.
So soft costs, you're estimating about 100 grand. So that's just finishing up your plans, getting any inspections needed. Like, do you need to do an environmental to convert this from whatever use it used to be to residential, or it won't need that?
I would recommend an environmental.
So that's part of the due diligence.
Yeah, recommend environmental appraisal, but that's actually built into a different line item. So soft costs here include engineering, permits, and plans.
Okay, and like no site plan approval needed?
I don't imagine.
Probably not, since it's an existing building. Hopefully not. Okay, so that might even be a fairly conservative soft cost budget.
It is.
So,
it is very conservative.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like you're saying at the end here you might go with the MLI Select program and get 90% loan to value with CMHC. And what rate are you figuring? Oh, you're figuring 4.75. And you said you just got one lower than that for a client, right? Well, you didn't get it, but they closed it.
It was 4.7.
4.7. So you're right in this ballpark. 45-year AM you're figuring. And then this is a handy little sheet. So you got your.
I know. I thought you'd like that one, right?
I mean, it's kind of based on the idea of sort of how mine works, but you've done more here, and I like it. So 21 grand in taxes and seven grand in insurance to start on acquisition, and then here's the breakdown of numbers. So you're figuring a 5% vacancy up front, but that's good because you know it takes time to rent out these units. And what's the base rent based on? So you have 226,800.
Mm-hmm. So we're running it at about $1,350.
$1,350 a month per unit. Correct. And what are these going to be? 1 beds, 2 beds? Or that's open for discussion.
Open. Yeah. It's open, right? So we kind of just ran it as, hey, how many? What's a density in this building where we can fit maximum amount of units and not have 300 square foot apartments?
Okay. So all the partition walls need to be built then?
Yeah. It's completely open. So the nice thing about this building, and you'd probably appreciate this, Andrew. So it's the construction's all steel frame. So you have these massive I-beams, and there's about 4 of them that run across. Yeah. And then go into a concrete first floor, into a concrete basement.
Yeah, the nice thing with that is you just basically have to create the fireproofed separation walls between the units. Yeah. You're not worried about the roofing system. That's all there. You're probably just going to leave a dead air space in between the roof and the top of your unit. So I actually have a friend, and we were just talking about doing this with the St. Thomas newspaper building. Same type of thing. Like the rooms are already there, just building units inside the rooms. Yeah. Okay, so not to get tangent here. So looking at some of the other income, $2,000 a year for laundry. So they're not going to have Insuite Laundry, or you're not expecting it to.
And here's the thing, right?
It
could, but again, we're talking let's call it a B- C neighborhood. Okay. Right.
So you might steer into the separate laundry
again. Put it in the lower level, put some laundry in, right? Are you going to reap the maximum benefit from Insuite Laundry right now in today's market?
Here's what I think. I mean, I think that you plan long term if you're going to renovate a building like this. I would do laundry in the units.
There you go. So take out that $2,000 and I guarantee you, Andrew, it still works.
It's still a good deal. I'm not going to touch it. But if it were me, I'd do laundry in the unit because I think it lubricates people to sign leases.
No, you're right.
Oh, I have Insuite Laundry. I'm signing.
And we've spoken about this before. Yeah. And I think it's just from my experience selling, resale apartment.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still fine to have it, but if you got the option,
we always just throw $2,000.
Put that stacked.
Throw it in there. See what happens.
Anyway, so $2,000 for that. Sure, we could take that out of there. It's not a big number. $9,600 for parking. So yeah, I mean, I think people are pretty open to paying for parking. What does that work out to be? Where did the $9,600 come from? You know?
Gross, here, pause for a sec. I'll just...
I could just divide it. So divide it. How many units were we saying? 14?
Yeah.
14 divided by 12. So it's like $57 a unit per month.
Yeah, $50. Let's go.
Okay, so that number is about $50 a unit per month. 57 I have here. I'll just delete that. Okay. So getting into some of these other expenses, you got $15,000 for taxes. Is that based on current, or is that an assumption of what the reassessed value will be?
So it's based on current.
Okay, so that could get reassessed.
So it is going to get reassessed. Let's
what's
be realistic.
CMHC going to assume? Are they going to look at that number and be okay with it, or are they going to expect the higher number?
So what we've done previously on new build that hasn't been assessed is we actually had from Altus. We had a tax assessment done.
Yeah.
Right. So we had our own agent go.
Yeah, they come up with an estimate.
Assess the tax and then supply that to CMHC.
Oh, okay. So you may have to do that here. So what? Now, I know this isn't a municipality that sometimes gives tax credits. Is that something we're factoring here?
Yeah. So, and there's also, on top of tax credits, there's also big renovation grants right now.
Yeah.
In this municipality.
And is any of that factored in here?
No.
So there's a lot of, so we could potentially leave that there knowing that there is some potential kickbacks for taxation long term in this particular municipality.
And we got a whole web page of different grants you could go for, but there's roofing, windows, units, adding units, right? Like DC charges. There's a whole bunch of that stuff.
Right. So if we wanted to be conservative, we could push this number up. I'm going to leave that alone for now because there are those grants. And the reason we're being cryptic here is that this is a little hush-hush right now. The deal is going to be made available next week, you think, Jake? Something like that?
Maybe a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. So not available just yet. So that's why we're not giving specifics.
Yeah.
Management at 4%. We got maintenance at $850 a door. That's a CMHC estimate. And then the management 4% on larger stuff. I think that can work.
Yep.
Snow and cleaning, $4,500. Okay. That's a CMHC assumption as well?
That was a bit of a hybrid. Right?
Yeah.
I felt based on my experience that's
you could probably get snow for like $500 to $1,000 for the year, and then you have your landscaping. Yeah. And then
there's no
a little bit of okay.
It's inner city, right?
Okay, no grass. So yeah, okay, and then that gets you a little bit of hallway cleaning and such throughout the year. Okay, and then replacement reserve. What is this?
So that's a CMHC guideline. Right, so they want to see that 2% replacement reserve,
just for all
it's
your
pretty much
mechanicals.
Contingency, yeah.
Okay, yeah, mechanicals and contingency,
yeah.
And then common utilities. You have 7570 here. What's that assuming? Are you assuming like a centralized water, sewer, or
So it would be separate hydro.
So every unit's going to have its own electrical service.
Separate hydro. There's currently one gas meter there, so depending on what you want to do. And here's the thing: it's a blank slate. Right.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to do heat pumps.
Like we're looking at it one way. Yeah. But we're going to do heat pumps. So most likely you're getting rid of gas. Right.
That's the big thing.
Or keeping it very,
well, you
very
might
minimal.
you might use gas just for centralized water heater.
Yep.
Yeah. And then leave the rest. So that 7570. Like again, there's so many ways you can go with this. I don't know your exact assumptions.
And I wanted your opinion on it.
Because I can't see the formula here. You must have done your calculations separate. But I mean, I would have been looking at let's say $200, $300 a month for just centralized boiler for hot water, but nothing else. And then you do heat pumps per unit. They pay their own utilities, and then even with the water, you do recoverables.
Exactly. Yeah. You could even do heat pump hot water system, which I know the MLI Select program really likes.
They like heat pump hot water.
Hot water. So we had to do that in one of our most recent purchases.
How does that work? Is that not just like radiant?
It's electric hot water.
It's electric hot water.
Electric hot water.
Oh, you actually create. Oh,
you put another condenser outside and it does the heat. And then what usually you have in high flow systems or high flow scenarios is so it's a heat pump hot water system that keeps it at the temperature.
Yeah.
And then if 4 people take a shower at once, it actually has the electric coil in it as well.
If you really
and it can kick on and heat quick, right? So you don't run into that.
Very cool. And that's tech that I think is probably going to become more and more popular.
I was looking at it from my house. That's why I know
the only
so much
thing
about
I have an issue with this, and I know you've seen it too, is when these systems fail. Like heat pumps are complex these days, whereas like a little electric water heater is so simple. Like it's just got a heating coil.
Never even mind that. A gas boiler from 1972.
Very simple.
That's still kicking on. No
I like
problem.
simple. Like anyone can fix that stuff. I mean, granted, people are getting more savvy with these complicated heat pumps, but they have circuit boards on them that can fail. Like, I don't love that stuff, but it is useful. Don't get me wrong.
You know what I do love, Andrew? 90% loan to value.
I love 90% loan to value.
And if that means I got to deal with a circuit board, so be it.
Okay, yeah, and I wanted to look at, you know what I like? I like net cash flow of $30,000.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing here. Obviously, there's so many variables that we can adjust.
Right?
But I like the idea of doing recoverables, so you almost zero out that utilities line by the time you do recoverables, and you say you're going to pay me $75 a month for water. Like, you just have flat. You say it's plus utilities, but then when they come in to sign the lease, you say here's the flat rate for utilities, and no one's going to be thrown off by $75 for water.
Yeah, and I was
that's
just
pretty
having
standard.
this conversation with a client of mine yesterday. We toured a building that was everything's bulk, even the hydro. Yeah, and you actually commented on it this morning, and we were looking at the cost to run separate meters in there, and then increase the line in. You know, we went through all this math, and I just said, well, why don't we just charge everybody $50 a month for hydro? Like, yeah, and it kind of worked out, right? The numbers. And
you definitely can do that. You just do a recoverable, like, look at a building, look at how it's performed over the last 3 years, knowing that electric's getting more expensive by X percentage a year, and then just divide it out. And then when they come to sign the leases, you just say, this is what you're paying. The thing that doesn't get is it's not going to help you. And I was just talking to somebody about this morning too. It's not going to help you for that guy that, you know, if you did it with water, runs their tub for 4 days, you know, and they cost you this massive amount. Like, I had a house where somebody filled a pool. That's the only thing I can assume, because it was 134 cubic meters and it was enough to fill a pool. I had like a $400 or $500 or $600 bill 1 month. And then all of a sudden it's right back down.
And that's the thing about sub-metering, right? Separate meters really keep the tenants honest. And I'm not saying that people are going out of their way to maliciously fill pools or run the hose. But if they have to pay for it, they just think about it a little bit quick, you know, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, do I want that bill coming in, right?
Yeah. So just looking back at the summary sheet here, so if somebody buys it for $2.8 million, and they can get 90%, you're saying equity after refinance.
Total project cost is 2.8.
That's the total project cost? I have value at refinance 2.8.
Oh, sorry, that's value at,
yeah.
Sorry, if you go to the bottom of that one, I don't have it in front of me. I can't walk you through it, but there's kind of like a total project cost, and then
total project cost is at 2.309.
There you go.
So your upside on this is $390,000 in equity. If you happen to get that new mortgage amount at 90%, that's 2.520. So that means potentially you're putting in your pocket on this maybe $100,000. So this is a potential deal to buy something that's not small, it's not huge, but 14 units. It's, you know, probably an ideal play for somebody who's been doing duplexes and triplexes and wants to take it to the next level.
But converting duplexes and triplexes, right?
Yeah, that's building them, converting them, like actually doing like real construction.
This is a
real project.
Right? This is a real project.
You're not going to want to come in this from zero. But this might be a nice play for somebody who's willing to be patient for the 1 to 2 years. I think this might take between soft planning and then actual construction, and then come out positive equity. So then potentially you've got something that's added $500,000 to your net worth after 2 years' time. One project. That's pretty cool.
And this can be get a good contractor in. Here's the thing. This is what I like about this one. There's enough juice to squeeze here, right? So
there's enough meat on the bone.
There's enough meat on the bone, whatever saying you want to do. So there is contingency. You can build in contingency.
You have a hard cost of 122.
Yeah.
Which works out to how much per unit are we saying here? Divided by 14 units. So you're budgeting just about $87,000 per unit for the reno.
And that came in on a quote. That was actually 2 separate quotes.
From contractors?
Yes.
Oh, so there's been some serious due diligence already done on this.
Huge.
Okay, so there's a story behind this. Do we want to get into it, or
we don't?
No, we're not going to get into the story just yet. If you want to know more about the story, you're gonna have to talk to Jake. Okay, so on that note, Jake, anything else we should share about this?
No, other than that, it's, you know, all the gutting's been done. There's a new roof on the building, right? So the new roof was put on. This is a great project. You know, and you're buying it where is as is.
Yeah.
As is where is whatever the saying.
Yeah,
is.
so it's this is not a newbie project. This
That's
is
it,
somebody who has a bit of experience in construction renovation or doing, BRRRs or larger scale BRRRs or larger scale conversions
That's it.
on, duplex, triplex, whatever.
Yeah.
And this might be that next play.
And other than that, right, just again, you got Empire Home coming in, and then you drive through the neighborhood. Yeah, it is kind of stuff that needs work, and then all of a sudden there's a brand new apartment building.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of action, a lot of things happening in this neighborhood. So you need that vision as well to say, hey, in 5 years, this is going to be something different.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jake, as usual, we're going to send people to the link,
below
the video. What happens when they enter their info?
Yeah. So you get a call with myself, or my assistant Shannon will actually reach out, find the best suitable time for myself and the person to have a call. They come on, we do a real estate action plan, right? Learn about your goals, what you're doing currently, a bit of your investing history.
Yeah. And
then we set you up on the right plan of action, right? So we say, okay, well, based on your history, your cash available, your desired investment strategy path, we're going to recommend a duplex, a triplex, this building, right? And then if you have your plan of action already built out and you say, hey, I'm calling because I want info on this building, that's a very easy conversation to have as well. So we can do both things here.
All right. Yeah. So people, if they want to find out more about this building, they can, that's the way to do it.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. If you made it this far, make sure you do hit the like, subscribe, notification bell if you haven't already. Leave us a comment. Ask us any questions about this deal if you'd like, or let us know what else you'd like to hear about.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you guys about, if you want to see more duplexes on here, if you want to see more bigger developments, 60, 70 unit apartment building reviews, let us know, right? We're here. We love crunching numbers, and happy to do a multitude of different things.
I like the big stuff, so we're going to talk about a bit more of that. But of course, we still pepper in the odd duplex and stuff here. All right. We'll see you next week.